gardening friends. I'm Marlene Purdy, and I am here in the garden. I'm hoping that we attract a lot of gardening friends to watch this show. It's going to be a combination of interviews with people in the gardening community around Fort Wayne, as well as some tips on gardening that I hope to present. Maybe sometime I'll even do some floral demonstrations and that type of thing. Now you might wonder, why in the world would this woman be doing a gardening show? Well, I'm interested in gardening for one thing. I'm a Purdue Master Gardener Gold 2000, and I'm also a flower show judge through Ohio Association of Garden Clubs for flower shows in Ohio. I actually just finished judging my 10th show yesterday, so that's where my interest comes from. But how did I ever get interested in doing a TV show? Good heavens, why would anybody want to do a TV show? Well, I want to give you a little bit of history. I got started working with Access Fort Wayne a number of years ago on the show Speakers and Leaders Hour, which was hosted by the late Dave Wilkins. And I was on the show as a regular numerous times. And just within the last year, Dave passed away, and so the show went away with him. I missed doing a TV show. Now, mind you, that one was live, so it was a lot different than what I'm doing now on a recorded show. But I really thought I want to do another show, but I thought it wouldn't be fair to try to resurrect the show that Dave hosted for many, many years. So I came up with the idea in the garden. And with that, I came up with also the idea of having the interviews, and we'll just see how it goes. And hopefully a lot of my gardening friends will join us and want to have me come back again. So this is the initial show of In the Garden with Marlene Purdy. I have as my guests today Amanda Abstutz and Nate Cardelli, and they're both from the conservatory, the Botanical Conservatory here in Fort Wayne, which I consider one of the best kept secrets because I have enjoyed it for a long time, and I think a lot of people in Fort Wayne don't know it exists. It's part of the Parks Department, and I don't know that much about it myself, so I'm going to let them tell me about the Botanical Conservatory. First of all, Nate and Amanda, how did it get started? What's the history behind it?
Yes, so the history of the Fullinger-Fryman Botanical Conservatory really starts with two friends. Those two friends, Helene Fullinger and Bill Sowers, had the idea to recreate some of their public garden experiences from their travels around the world. And they wanted those from right here in Fort Wayne. So Fort Wayne's public garden scene really starts with the Botanical Conservatory as far as a year-round experience for guests. Now, they didn't do that for free. They had to rally up a good deal of funds. Helene is actually the start of the Fullinger Foundation. So with her, we see a huge legacy of funding major programs and venues downtown and throughout the city. But starting with the Botanical Conservatory, she started with a $2 million endowment. Bill Sowers with the Fryman Family Foundation matched that. And then Lincoln National gave just under $1 million as well. Mm-hmm. So we started with $4.75 million. We got the land from the Redevelopment Commission for a mighty $1. Going forward from there, they built the conservatory. It opened in November 1983. Now, when I say $4.75 million in 1983, that's about $13 million today. So that's a big chunk of change. They didn't do that overnight. It took a lot of support, a lot of grassroots support, and that's really where the conservatory came from. Now, in that period between 83 and today, there's been a lot of growth. We didn't start where we are now. When we opened up, we didn't have a classroom to our name. We had 3 indoor gardens that were beautiful and provided an indoor respite for people year-round. Now, since then, we expanded in '94 to add our front lobby, gift shop area. In '98, we added Woody, our famous Woody the Talking Tree. We'll get to him a little bit more later. In 2001, we added a beautiful outdoor public garden space. It's free all year round. It's Beaver Forden. So as you're driving down Calhoun Street, you'll notice a little alcove in the Botanical Conservatory's lawn. That's Beaver Forden, and it was donated by the Beaver Forden family. The whole idea with Beaver Forden was to feature plants that weren't common for our area. So they actually remediated all of the soil about 10 feet down, and were able to showcase some plants that may not do well here otherwise. Indiana clay is a beautiful thing, but not for everything. And then in 2003, we actually did our first butterfly exhibit. So the butterfly exhibit is nearing its 20th appearance at the conservatory, and we're really excited about that. Moving back to Woody a little bit. So Woody was in a position about 2 years ago where we realized that he may not be in the best shape. He had done 3 times the life of your typical museum exhibit. So with the support of a few foundations, a few willing donors, and a grassroots effort by rapper Sankofa, we were actually able to host a benefit for Woody at the brass rail. And we were able to cross the finish line, and now we're happy to say that Woody has a new voice. He has a new groove. His teeth are a little wider. And we're just happy that he's going to be with us for many years to come.
Okay. And didn't they recently make a walkway? Was that added recently also?
Yes, so the Botanical Connector is a huge feature for us. It was actually 20 years in the making, because when they started adding all of those walkways downtown, it became clear that the one place you couldn't get in those overhead walkways was the conservatory. We're a single-story building. But we're right next to the embassy, which is connected to all of those beautiful indoor walkways that provide that winter respite. So 20 years in the making. In 2019, we were finally able to open that walkway. It was a $600,000 project just about, and we're very happy to see that done. It'll provide a little bit more accessibility for people who need not to be on the street level as they cross to the conservatory from free parking in the Civic Center garage.
That's fantastic. So now we've got a little bit of history behind the conservatory itself. What about the programs? What's going on at the conservatory?
Well, I'm the program supervisor at the Botanical Conservatory, and we've always got something going on. So our public programs, they do include some of our pre-registered programs that we're known for. So some very popular ones we've been doing are working closely with macrame. Our Evergreen Centerpiece Workshop, we're very well known for. That's a tradition for us. Tai Chi and other wellness programs for therapeutic gardening also. Tying into more of our public events then, we have a garden trick or treat that we do now. Also, in correlation with the downtown lighting ceremony, we have a party on the night of that, the Night of Lights at the conservatory to kick off that holiday season. We're pretty well known for our Santa and the reindeer events as well. And then a little more deeper into some of the programs that we offer. Sort of what you could look at as a drop-in program. So we have our dollar nights on every Thursday night of the month, where admission is $1, and then for an hour there from 6 to 7, we do try to highlight some particular activity or theme that people can come in and do as part of that evening. A lot of times we will theme that around our showcase theme, whatever is going on in that first garden there at the conservatory. Trying to think of anything else. A lot of times we will, like I said, program around our showcase gardens. And so certain drop-in sessions where if you're just visiting the conservatory for regular admission, usually there's something else going on that you get to include, is included and you can enjoy as part of your visit.
And I participated. There is a 4-H club that actually
Yes.
meets at the conservatory. I don't know if it's, I think it even maybe have the conservatory in its name. Is that correct? I'm not sure. But I've been a guest for them demonstrating flower arranging.
Yes, and so we also have our close relationship with the Bonsai Club, Daylily Society, Iris Society. We're also pretty well known for our plant swaps, and so that all kind of coincides with what you're saying, Marlene.
And then they also have some other interesting things I know. My great nephew loved when they had the trains there, and I don't know how that came about, but it was set up in one of the meeting rooms.
Oh yes, so the Great Train Connection, we have started doing that during a kind of busy time of year when we're also at the Home and Garden Show.
Oh.
But we have found that that particular event to be very well received, and working closely with those train guys. They're really great. We really enjoy having them.
And would you want to share a little bit more about the different greenhouses that you have?
Sure. And so our first showcase garden, as I mentioned, that does change 4 times a year annually. You can look at it a little more seasonally, but as you continue on down from the showcase gardens, you enter the tropical garden, and then from there the desert garden. There is outdoor access that will kind of wrap you around as you walk outside to the exploration and terrace gardens. But so we look at ourselves as a year-round garden. We're always in season. And so as you move from each one of those hallways, it's kind of connecting the entire conservatory experience. You do tend to move from different climates. It is a greenhouse setting, so it can tend to be a little warmer. And so we do expect that. But tying back into the showcase exhibits, Marlene, I'll talk a little bit about our winter exhibit. We do kind of consider that more of a play garden atmosphere. So during the colder months, for families to come in and enjoy some type of play aspect, kind of more of a fun theme. Coming up, we will have our Big Top. That's a circus garden. So we're really looking forward to that. Under the Big Top, yes, coming up here in January of 2022. Following that exhibit, then our second one of the year, spring exhibit, that would be the annual live butterfly exhibit. We don't have butterflies year-round, however, we do have them once a year, every spring, where we do install the very large butterfly tent display in the center of the showcase garden. A lot of effort goes into that as far as staffing with our entry and exit vestibules to keep those butterflies contained there. Yeah. We rely a lot on our volunteers for that help, and that particular exhibit is loved by many. We hear a lot of people come in and say, "Where are the butterflies?" And we have to explain, well, they're not here all year round, maybe someday. But from there, then we have our summer-fall exhibit that tends to be more lush floral displays. Maybe more of a serious theme, however you want to look at that, but considering we are a popular rental venue, that time of year we do have quite a few indoor and outdoor ceremonies and such. And so then our very last exhibit of the year, so there's 4 altogether that we do change there annually, is our annual holiday exhibit. So we do push ourselves to come up with different themes and names for those exhibits, but the idea of the holiday exhibit, for example, would be that kind of warm atmosphere, nostalgic, traditional family place for people to come and enjoy their time together, take photos, and just really take in the season.
Well, I have some connections in 2 respects. Many, many years ago, our family actually came up here and had our family pictures taken in the gardens. Beautiful pictures. And last year, you babysat my poinsettia for the Christmas show.
Yeah.
We have to laugh about it because I have would you say it's about a 4-foot tall poinsettia?
Yes, I would say it's about the height of what's right here next to me.
And it has a Christmas cactus planted around it because I had a Christmas cactus that was on a pedestal, and the pedestal fell over, and it broke into smithereens. It had been my grandmother's Christmas cactus originally, and then my mother's, and I didn't want to lose it. So I took the stems that broke off, dipped them in rooting compound, and just stuck them in the soil around the poinsettia, and they all took. And that's why it's the poinsettia in the middle with the Christmas cactus. And the catch of all this was, it has the Christmas cactus, or the poinsettia is, I'd say 5 or 6 years old. I don't know, I've lost track. And it spends the summer outside, and I bring it in and it sits in the garage all winter, and it loses its leaves, and it comes back to life in the spring. But it doesn't like it, and it has not bloomed for years. This year it was in the greenhouse, and it bloomed for the first time in a long time, and it was just gorgeous. So I thank you for taking care of my Christmas cactus for me.
Yeah, so I will say, Marlene, you've been with the conservatory for quite a few years as far as one of our go-to volunteers. And so I do recall we had put a request or a call out saying that we were looking for a poinsettia that we wanted to showcase as part of our holiday exhibit in our desert garden. And you responded, we gave it a shot, and it went over very well.
It was fun bringing it in because I remember when I came to pick it up, I was gone during the time of the show, and so it had a home that was safe. And when I came to pick it up, it was below freezing outside. It was cold. And they had me back my car into the loading bay, and they loaded in the car. They closed the door of the loading bay. They put the poinsettia in the car, and then they opened the door, so it never saw the cold weather at all. It made it back home very safely, and it's sitting out in my driveway right now. It's very happy yet, so we'll see what happens next. You were talking a little bit about the volunteers and the need for volunteers. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, I gotta say, our volunteers, we couldn't do what we do without them. They really are our lifeblood at the conservatory. We've been pretty well known for that as a fun, a great place to volunteer. Lots of different opportunities. Can be a little overwhelming. I have some prospective volunteers who will contact me and say, well, what all is there to do? And I'll just lay it out there, and then from there we figure out what their niche is, what they're most interested in. So some of those particular volunteer opportunities that we have, at our front admissions desk and in our gift shop, we do have volunteers there who are part of a regular schedule with us and working closely with supervisory and full-time staff. And then also a lot of volunteers we inquire are master gardeners. And so they're looking for a little more particular types of opportunities. So very closely involved with our butterfly exhibit would be one. Also with, we have a garden team, we call it the SWAT team. Does anybody know what that stands for?
Sweep, weed, and trim.
Yes.
Sweep, weed, and
Trim.
Oh, okay.
SWAT team. That's a really great opportunity for people who are looking to work side by side with their gardeners. We do that beginning of the season, so more so summer through fall. Sometimes working a little more indoors too, more closely with the showcase when it comes to deadheading and helping us keep up because there's lots to do. Let's see, what am I missing? Obviously our Mother's Day plant sale. That's a huge event. We do an annual fundraiser every year, and we bring in volunteers, very many volunteers, from all around to help us pull off that event. And greenhouse, our Lawton Park greenhouse. And Nate, I'll let you talk a little more about that.
So, our Lawton Park greenhouse really is our production space for things like the Mother's Day plant sale, for our gift shop plants, for our sales garden at the conservatory.
And for the streets.
Yes, yes. A lot of the street plantings do come from
Parks,
there.
yes.
All of the parks plantings come from the Lawton Park greenhouse. It's a massive production effort by that team there, and we really couldn't do it without the volunteers that go to the greenhouse. They're definitely integral to running our gift shop. Without them, we really couldn't do it. Plants actually account for, I'd say, about 30% of the sales in our own gift shop, which is fantastic. And with those volunteers doing it, we get plentiful plants. They look great. They're well tended to. They're groomed. And it's super exciting to see that happen. Now, in the gift shop, when we look at that shop, it was actually founded by volunteers. So a volunteer organization founded the gift shop. We've transitioned forward because it's become such a big deal for the conservatory. So the gift shop now, we're really working on carrying trendy items, great gift items, of course related to plants. You'll get your great garden essentials there as well. Really wanting to inspire any of our guests and any of our regular shoppers that come into the shop to experience it. Relating to that inspiration, we also now have Conjure Coffee.
Oh, I wondered who was in there now.
Yes. So in 2019, Conjure Coffee opened up their coffee shop in Fort Wayne. It was their second location. They're actually a local coffee roaster. They now have 3 locations and a little pop-up at the airport. So the first thing a lot of visitors see when they come to town is Conjure Coffee, and then we hope they see that at the conservatory when they come visit too.
Okay. So, anything else you guys want to add about the conservatory? I know when you were talking about the volunteers that actually started the gift shop, was that the was it called the Conservateers?
The Conservateers.
My sister had belonged to that
Ah.
many years ago,
Well,
before I came to Fort Wayne.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Marlene. I will say with you as well, you have taught some workshops for us, some of our pre-registered programs.
Oh, yes.
And so in particular, any of you who are watching and have that special niche, we do invite volunteers and facilitators to get involved with helping host and facilitate some of our pre-registered programs. We're always looking for new ideas in
Yes.
that regard.
I had one that didn't go, and then the one I did out at Solomon Farms.
Yes.
That
yes.
on flower arranging.
A little bit of a
So-
COVID year.
Yes, it was crazy.
I will mention then all of our programs, all of our opportunities, they are highlighted in our quarterly fun times as far as that goes. So I did want to mention that.
Oh, yes. Anything else you want to share?
There actually is some pretty exciting news coming out of the conservatory. We unveiled a 36-foot tall sculpture called Megaflora by artist Carrie Schaefer. It is in the front of the conservatory for the public to enjoy, and we hope that between its Indiana limestone features and steel features, it'll be a landmark for people in downtown for many years to come.
Was that just featured in the newspaper today?
Just today.
I was going to say, because I came over to the studio and didn't have time to read the paper, but I think I saw the headlines and I saw the statue. And that is one thing I am so excited about Fort Wayne. Their embracing of the arts is just fantastic. And I don't know who's in charge of doing all this, but all I can say is thank you, because I really appreciate how Fort Wayne is becoming very artistic. They've got the streetscape, the paintings, and didn't somebody just start painting the catch basins?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's going to, I think that's going to be featured coming up very soon. So we have all kinds of interesting things going on here in Fort Wayne. And I hope that those of you who are watching today, I hope you learn to check out all these different opportunities and then go from there. I'm going to get back to you in a little bit. I was going to do a little bit on a separate program today, but we ended up using up most of our time, and so I'm going to just let people know that hopefully we will do this in another time. I want to do a program on putting your garden to bed, because I am very much into gardening. And believe it or not, there are some tricks to putting your garden to bed and cleaning up and everything. And so I'm going to put some of my gardening skills to use in doing this presentation, but I don't think I have time to do it today anymore. So this is something to look forward. If those of you who are viewing this show, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will look forward to being back with you another time.